The moment Claire stepped out of the glass doors of the corporate building in downtown Denver, it felt like the world was collapsing around her. The air was crisp with late autumn chill, the parking lot buzzing with afternoon traffic, yet everything around her blurred into a distant hum as her heartbeat pounded in her ears. She didn't walk, she fled. Her heels clicked rapidly across the pavement until her legs finally gave out beside a row of parked cars, where she sank onto the cold ground, trembling. Her shoulders shook as silent sobs escaped her, years of struggle pressing down on her chest like a weight she could no longer carry. If you believe in kindness, compassion, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support truly keeps these emotional stories alive. Claire tried to steady her breathing, wrapping her arms around herself as if holding her life together by force. She had walked into that interview clinging to her last bit of hope. After months of sending applications, attending dead-end interviews, and juggling part-time jobs to support her 8-year-old daughter, Claire had arrived today believing this job might finally change their lives. She had prepared tirelessly, rehearsed every answer, memorized details about the company. But the moment she sat in the interview room, something inside her cracked. The manager's clipped tone, the intimidating panel, the cold fluorescent lights, they triggered every insecurity she had fought so hard to bury. Her voice quivered, her mind blanked, and before she could gather herself, she had apologized, stood up, and rushed out in humiliation. Now she sat on the pavement, her handbag beside her, tears streaking down her face as she whispered apologies to the one person she never wanted to disappoint, her daughter, Mia, who was watching quietly from a few steps away with wide, worried eyes. Claire hated being seen this way by her little girl, but she couldn't stop the emotional flood. Years of struggle after her divorce, the bills piling up, the constant fear of not being enough, it all felt too heavy. The world felt unbearably unfair, and for a moment, Claire wondered how much more she could handle. But she wasn't alone. Thomas, one of the senior hiring managers who had been present in the interview room, had stepped outside minutes after Claire ran out. He had watched her leave abruptly, confusion quickly turning into concern. Something about the fear in her eyes lingered in his mind. So he followed her into the parking lot, not wanting to intrude but unwilling to ignore the clear distress. When he spotted her sitting on the ground with her daughter beside her, the sight hit him harder than he expected. She wasn't just a nervous applicant. She was someone carrying a story, a struggle, something deeper than a resume could reveal. He approached slowly, keeping his distance out of respect, hands in his coat pockets, not wanting to startle her. From where he stood, he could hear the shakiness of her breath and see the exhaustion written across her face. Thomas had spent years in corporate management, meeting hundreds of candidates, but rarely had he seen someone break so completely beneath the polished surface of professional expectations. And something inside him, a mixture of empathy, instinct, and simple humanity, told him he couldn't walk away. Claire didn't notice him at first, too lost in her shame and fear. But Mia did. The young girl turned slightly, her small hand resting on her mother's shoulder as she glanced at the man approaching. Her expression wasn't afraid, it was hopeful, as if she sensed something good in this stranger. Thomas gently said that he had come only to make sure she was all right, his voice soft, warm, and free from judgment. Claire froze. She wiped her face quickly, embarrassed, trying to gather the shards of her dignity. She insisted she was fine, even as her voice revealed the truth. She looked away, ashamed that someone from the interview, someone who had seen her fail, was now witnessing her at her weakest moment. But Thomas didn't retreat. He didn't pity her. He simply stood there with patient understanding, offering space for her to breathe. As the minutes passed, Claire finally admitted that she had panicked during the interview. She explained, in halting words, how everything in her life depended on this opportunity, how she felt her daughter deserved better than the chaos they had endured. Her voice cracked with every confession, but she kept speaking, the honesty pouring out uncontrollably. Thomas listened closely, and with every sentence she spoke, something softened inside him. He realized that by corporate standards, she had stumbled, but by human standards, she had shown something remarkable: honesty, vulnerability, and an unbreakable determination to fight for her child. He told her gently that a resume could never show the strength it takes to rebuild after losing so much. He told her that fear doesn't erase capability, and that one moment of panic didn't define her worth. These weren't words from a hiring manager. They were words from a compassionate human being who recognized another human's pain. Claire didn't know what to say. For the first time in a long time, someone saw past her mistakes, past the walls she had built, and acknowledged her effort, not her failure. Mia leaned closer to her mother, smiling softly as if sensing the shift in the air. Then came words Claire never expected. Thomas told her he wanted her to come back inside, not for another interview, but for a real conversation, a conversation human to human. not candidate to corporation. He believed she deserved that chance. Claire's eyes filled with new tears, not of despair, but of fragile hope. She rose slowly, helped by Mia's small hand and steadied by Thomas's kindness. They walked back into the building together. Claire's heart still raced, but this time with a spark of courage, Thomas introduced her to the director personally, explaining that he saw something in her they shouldn't overlook. Claire spoke honestly, calmly, driven not by fear but by newfound confidence, and with every word her strength returned. By the end of the day, Claire walked out of that building again, but this time standing tall. She had been offered the job. Near the end of the story, I ask you from the heart, if this moment touched you even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps stories of hope reach someone who might desperately need them. Before we end, special request, comment below. Do you believe small acts of kindness can change someone's life?